One video, one habit, a better life after 50. Seniors over 60. Stop. Never refrigerate these 10 foods dangerous for your health. Do you know that your refrigerator might be hiding silent thieves of your health? No noise, no strange smell, yet quietly stealing your muscle strength and your memory. Things we need more than ever after 60. According to the Mayo Clinic, just one wrong storage habit can cause up to 70% loss of essential nutrients in food. 70%. It is like throwing away almost all the vitamins, minerals, and energy from your meal while still thinking you are eating healthy. Picture a calm weekend morning. You open the refrigerator door. Cool air rushes out. On the shelf sits a golden loaf of bread, a few bright red tomatoes, a bottle of olive oil, and a box of plump strawberries. Everything looks safe. But in reality, some of them are slowly losing nutrients, changing in flavor, and even producing harmful compounds, right in your own kitchen. I once had a 72-year-old patient who was very careful with her diet. She bought vegetables from the farmer's market and drank purified water. But because she stored food the wrong way, her digestion weakened and her joints began aching again. She had no idea the cause was sitting quietly in her refrigerator. I understand. At this age, we all want to choose our own food and cook the meals we love. But sometimes, our familiar storage habits are exactly what quietly reduces our health. And even more surprising, in the list of 10 foods you should never keep in the fridge, there are items that almost every American household stores incorrectly every single day. Could your refrigerator be doing the same thing right now? We will uncover each one. Not just to know them, but to change how you store them today, before they can keep quietly harming your health. I will start with one simple rule that most people over 60 overlook. Not everything you bring home should go straight into the refrigerator. It may sound opposite to what you have always believed. Because all our lives we have been taught that the fridge is the safest place for food. But the truth is, for certain foods, the cold environment is exactly what makes them spoil faster, lose nutrients, and even trigger unwanted chemical reactions in the body. Let's take an easy example. Tomatoes. When kept in the fridge, the cell walls inside a tomato break down. The flesh becomes mealy, losing its natural sweetness and aroma. More importantly, this process can significantly reduce its lycopene content, a powerful antioxidant that helps protect the heart and the memory. This means that instead of getting the full benefit, you are quietly wasting nature's gift of health. And this is just the beginning. On this list, there are foods that I believe 99% of American households still store the wrong way every single day. From cooking oils and bread to seemingly harmless items like honey or potatoes. Before we go deeper into each one, remember this. Our goal is not to throw away the fridge. It is to know exactly what should and should not go inside, so that every meal truly becomes a dose of nourishment for your body, not a hidden risk. 1. Potatoes. Potatoes are a staple in most American homes. From a plate of creamy mashed potatoes to fluffy baked ones to golden crispy fries. But for people over 60, how you store this humble tuber can affect more than just its flavor. It can directly impact your health. Many believe keeping potatoes in the fridge helps them last longer. In reality, the cold triggers a process called cold-induced sweetening. At low temperatures, the starch inside potatoes turns into sugar. When cooked at high heat, that extra sugar reacts with amino acids to create acrylamide, a compound that research, including reports from the European Food Safety Authority, warns may increase cancer risk if eaten over time. This process also changes the taste. The potatoes become oddly sweet, lose their natural earthy flavor, and the texture turns grainy instead of smooth. To keep potatoes both tasty and safe, store them in a cool, dark place at about 45 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit, with natural air circulation like a pantry or kitchen shelf. Avoid plastic bags which trap moisture and encourage mold, and never store them next to onions because the ethylene gas from onions makes potatoes sprout faster. If you see green sprouts or patches on the skin, throw them away. They contain solanine, a natural toxin that can cause nausea, dizziness, and more serious effects if eaten in large amounts. I once met a 68-year-old gentleman in Texas who loved making his own fries. He used to store potatoes in the fridge and always noticed an odd sweetness and darker color when frying, along with a loss of that classic potato flavor. After following my advice, he switched to keeping them in a wicker basket in a cool corner of his kitchen. Within weeks, his fries were back to their golden, crisp, rich flavor, and more importantly, he could feel confident knowing he was lowering the risk of acrylamide in his cooking. A study in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry confirmed that storing potatoes below 50 degrees significantly increases reducing sugars, which leads to much higher acrylamide levels when frying or baking, especially in common potato varieties grown in the United States. This is one more reason why proper potato storage is not just about taste. It is a simple but powerful choice to protect your long-term health. 2. Bread. Bread is a daily staple for many families, but not everyone knows how to store it to keep the best flavor and texture. Placing bread in the refrigerator may seem like it extends its life. In reality, it speeds up a process called starch retrogradation. This is when starch molecules recrystallize, pulling moisture from the soft interior into the crust. The result is bread that becomes dry, hard, and loses its fresh aroma, even before its expiration date. Instead of the fridge, the best way is to store bread at room temperature, in a dry, well-ventilated place away from direct sunlight. Keeping it in a bread box or paper bag will help the crust stay lightly crisp while the inside remains soft. On the other hand, a sealed plastic bag traps moisture and encourages mold growth, especially in warm conditions. If you cannot finish the bread within 2 to 3 days, slice it first and store it in a zip-top bag or airtight container in the freezer. When needed, you can toast or warm it straight from frozen without thawing. This method preserves the taste and softness while making quick meals easier. It is also wise to choose bread that fits your nutritional needs. For example, whole grain bread, rich in fiber and minerals, helps control blood sugar and supports digestion in older adults. Whatever type you choose, proper temperature and storage conditions are the keys to keeping bread fresh for longer. 3. Honey. Honey is one of nature's longest-lasting foods thanks to its strong antibacterial properties, but only when stored correctly. Keeping honey in the refrigerator often causes the glucose inside to crystallize faster, forming tiny granules or a solid layer at the bottom and sides of the jar. While this does not reduce its nutrition, it changes the texture and experience, making many people think the honey has gone bad. Also, when you take honey from the fridge into a warmer environment, moisture in the air can condense inside the jar. This extra moisture reduces its thickness and antibacterial strength, allowing microorganisms to grow, especially if the lid is not tightly closed. Prolonged cold storage can also dull the delicate flavor of honey. The best way is to keep honey at room temperature, around 65 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit, in a glass or food-grade plastic jar with a tight lid. Avoid direct sunlight or placing it near the stove, as constant heat destroys valuable enzymes and antioxidants. If your honey crystallizes, simply place the jar in a bowl of warm water, about 104 degrees Fahrenheit, and stir gently until the sugar dissolves. Avoid very hot water or direct heating on the stove, as high temperatures reduce nutritional value and alter the taste. Proper storage not only keeps honey smooth, fragrant, and delicious, but also preserves its many health benefits, from supporting immunity to soothing the throat and providing a natural source of energy. 4. Coffee beans or ground coffee. Coffee, whether in bean or ground form, is highly sensitive to storage conditions. When kept in the refrigerator, coffee beans tend to absorb odors from other foods, altering their delicate flavor. This is due to their naturally porous structure, which allows odor molecules to penetrate easily. Additionally, the temperature inside the fridge fluctuates every time the door is opened, causing condensation to form on the surface of the beans or grounds. This moisture gradually diminishes the coffee's aroma, while creating an environment for bacteria and mold to grow, especially risky if the coffee is pre-ground. The optimal storage method is to keep coffee in an airtight, opaque container or one with light-blocking properties to protect it from UV rays, which can also degrade aromatic compounds. Room temperature with stable conditions is ideal, away from areas near the stove, dishwasher, or windows where heat and humidity vary. When purchasing, it is best to buy only what you can use in a short period, as coffee begins to lose its flavor within weeks after roasting or grinding. If you want to store coffee longer, divide it into small portions enough for a week or a few days and freeze them once. This limits repeated opening and closing, which would let moisture in. When ready to use, remove the portion from the freezer and let it reach room temperature before opening the container to avoid condensation forming directly on the coffee. Never refreeze thawed coffee, as each freeze-thaw cycle quickly degrades quality. By following these methods, you can preserve the distinct aroma, freshness, and original taste of coffee, ensuring each cup you brew is of the highest quality. 5. Garlic. Garlic is rich in allicin, a compound with antibacterial, heart-supporting, and antioxidant benefits. However, storing garlic in the refrigerator quickly diminishes these properties. The cold, humid environment encourages sprouting, which turns the cloves bitter and strips them of their signature aroma. The garlic skin also absorbs moisture, becoming soft and allowing mold to develop, producing mycotoxins that are harmful to the liver and immune system. Cold temperatures can also change garlic's structure and chemical composition, reducing its allicin content. This compound is volatile and sensitive to temperature and humidity, so improper storage removes much of garlic's nutritional value. Once separated from the bulb, cloves absorb moisture even faster, shortening their shelf life considerably. The best solution is to store garlic in a cool, dry, and well-ventilated place, such as in a basket or mesh bag, so air can circulate and keep the cloves dry. Avoid direct sunlight, which can trigger sprouting and lower quality, and keep garlic away from heat sources like ovens, which accelerate moisture loss and sprouting. After separating the cloves, use them within about 10 days for maximum flavor and nutrients. If you need to store longer, you can chop or crush garlic and mix it with cooking oil in a sealed jar, kept in a cool, dark place. This slows microbial growth and helps preserve some beneficial compounds. Proper storage not only maintains garlic's aroma and flavor, but also retains the health benefits that make it a staple in so many households. 6. Bananas. Bananas are extremely sensitive to cold, especially when not fully ripe. Placing them in the refrigerator can cause chilling injury, a type of cold damage that breaks down cells, turning the skin black quickly and making the flesh soft and mushy. This not only affects appearance but also significantly reduces nutritional value, especially vitamin C and natural antioxidants, which increase when bananas ripen naturally at room temperature. Refrigerating unripe bananas also interrupts the ripening process, robbing them of their signature aroma and sweetness. While they may continue to ripen in appearance after being removed, their texture and nutrient profile cannot fully recover. Even ripe bananas can develop brown spots, soften, and lose flavor in the fridge's humid environment. The best way to store bananas is at room temperature, ideally between 56 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Hang them or place them on a rack to prevent contact with hard surfaces, which reduces bruising. To speed ripening, place them in a paper bag with a ripe apple or pear, using natural ethylene gas to hasten the process. To slow ripening, wrap the stems in plastic wrap or aluminum foil to limit ethylene release. When bananas reach your desired ripeness but you cannot eat them all, peel, cut into chunks, and freeze them immediately. Frozen bananas retain their natural sweetness and make excellent ingredients for smoothies, banana ice cream, or baked goods. This method reduces waste while capturing bananas at their peak flavor and nutrition. 7. Onions. Onions need a well-ventilated and dry environment to maintain quality. When placed in the refrigerator, high humidity quickly promotes mold and bacterial growth, especially on the outer skin and root area. Cold temperatures also change the onion's internal composition. Starch converts into sugar faster, making the texture soft and mushy. The taste becomes sharper and sweeter, but the natural crispness is lost. This also makes onions harder to caramelize properly when cooking, as the higher sugar content causes them to burn quickly rather than cook slowly to a golden brown. Whole onions should be stored at a cool temperature of 45 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit, ideally in a dark, dry room with good airflow. Use baskets, open shelving, or mesh bags to allow air to circulate freely around the bulbs, preventing moisture buildup and bad odors. Importantly, do not store onions near potatoes. Potatoes release moisture and ethylene gas, which can speed up sprouting and spoilage. Once cut, onions should be stored differently. At this stage, refrigeration is necessary to slow spoilage. However, place them in an airtight container or zipper bag to prevent odor transfer to other foods and to reduce moisture loss. Use pre-cut onions within 7 days to maintain flavor and safety. For longer storage, diced onions can be frozen, but note that thawed onions will be softer and better suited for cooked dishes rather than raw use. Following the correct storage method keeps onions crisp, flavorful, and nutrient-rich, while reducing food waste. 8. Tomatoes. Tomatoes are highly sensitive to cold temperatures. Refrigeration causes chilling injury, which breaks down cell membranes inside the fruit. The result is a mealy, watery texture and a noticeable loss of their fresh, vibrant flavor. Cold also slows the enzymes that produce aromatic compounds, and some studies suggest it can even switch off genes related to flavor, disturbing the natural balance of sweetness, acidity, and aroma. In addition, storing tomatoes in the refrigerator lowers the bioavailability of lycopene, an important antioxidant that supports heart, eye, and cellular health, making it harder for the body to absorb. The best way to store fresh tomatoes is at room temperature, away from direct sunlight, with the stem end facing down. This reduces water loss and minimizes the chance of bacteria or mold entering through the stem scar. Avoid plastic bags, which trap moisture and encourage spoilage. In these conditions, ripe tomatoes should be used within 3 to 5 days for optimal taste and nutrition. If you have more ripe tomatoes than you can use, instead of refrigerating them, cook them into sauces, soups, or stews, then freeze. Cooking increases lycopene release and absorption, especially when paired with a little olive oil. This method preserves both nutrition and flavor while preventing waste. 9. Avocados. Avocados are rich in healthy fats, vitamin E, and antioxidants, but they are sensitive to cold when unripe. Refrigerating green avocados halts the ripening process and can alter the flesh's texture. Fats may separate into oil, losing creaminess and becoming stringy or mushy. Cold temperatures also reduce the activity of natural antioxidants and suppress enzymes, resulting in bland flavor and loss of aroma. The best way to ripen green avocados is at room temperature, away from direct sunlight. To speed ripening, place them in a paper bag with a ripe banana or apple, which release ethylene gas that accelerates the process. Once ripe, avocados can be stored in the refrigerator for up to 2 to 3 days to slow spoilage, but should be eaten as soon as possible for peak flavor and texture. For cut avocados, keep the pit in place to slow oxidation. Brush the flesh lightly with lemon juice or vinegar, and wrap tightly in plastic wrap or place in an airtight container. A helpful tip is to add a slice of onion to the container. The sulfur compounds in onions can slow browning. Practical example: if you buy avocados on Monday but plan to use them over the weekend, let them ripen naturally at room temperature for the first 2 to 3 days. Then move them to the refrigerator to hold their ripeness for 1 to 2 more days. When making salad or guacamole, cut the avocado right before serving and apply the pit plus lemon trick to keep it green and creamy until the last bite. 10. Olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil is highly sensitive to low temperatures. When stored in the refrigerator, its monounsaturated fats crystallize, turning the oil cloudy and forming white, waxy clumps. While not harmful, this changes the texture, making it less smooth and harder to pour. Prolonged cold can also degrade phenolic compounds, the antioxidants responsible for olive oil's heart protective and anti-inflammatory benefits. In some cases, The humid fridge environment can cause off odors if the bottle is not perfectly sealed. The best storage is in a cool, dry place, away from direct sunlight and heat. The ideal temperature range is 57 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Olive oil should be kept in dark glass bottles or metal tins to limit light exposure, which accelerates oxidation and spoilage. Always close the cap tightly after each use, as oxygen degrades flavor and quality. If you live in a hot climate, store olive oil in the coolest cabinet, away from stoves and ovens. Only refrigerate if absolutely necessary, such as during extreme summer heat, and allow it to return to room temperature for a few hours before use so it regains its smooth consistency. Practical example: if you buy a high-quality extra virgin olive oil for salad dressings, pour a small amount into a 250 ml dark bottle for daily use, while keeping the rest in a cool, dark spot. This minimizes exposure and keeps the oil fresh longer. When making a summer capre salad, you'll notice the difference. Properly stored olive oil will have a light, fruity aroma, smooth richness, and a warm, peppery finish. The perfect liquid gold for heart health. Final video message. The core message of this video is that not all foods are suited for refrigerator storage. Cold temperatures can lower nutritional value, break down texture, alter natural flavor, and in some cases, encourage mold growth or the formation of unwanted compounds. For certain produce, locking them in a cold, humid environment can even cause them to ripen abnormally fast or lose their natural qualities altogether. The solution is to choose the right storage method for each food group. A cool, dry, well-ventilated space is often ideal for fruits and vegetables that need to breathe. Avoid direct sunlight to slow oxidation and preserve color and flavor. Do not use sealed plastic bags for fresh produce, as they trap moisture and promote mold. For foods that spoil quickly, freezing them at the right time can help retain both nutrition and flavor for longer periods. Especially for older adults, proper food storage is not only about keeping nutrients intact for better health, but also about reducing the risk of food poisoning, bacterial contamination, or digestive issues, ultimately helping maintain a better quality of life. You know, good health is not only protected by expensive pills. It begins with the small things, right in the kitchen, right in the way we store our food every day. I have seen many of my older friends lose their health without realizing it, simply because of one wrong storage habit. And I don't want that to happen to you, because at this age, every meal is not just about nutrition, it is about preserving the healthy years we still have. Remember, the refrigerator is not the safe place for everything. By choosing the right way to store your food, you keep the flavor, the nutrition, and even the joy of eating. That is the most precious gift you can give yourself. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Senior Healthy Tips 50+. At Senior Healthy Tips 50+, we don't just share knowledge, we share love for our parents, our grandparents, and for the days when we too will grow old.